Hello friends, my name's Linda Dalke. I'm a demonstrator with Stampin' Up in Australia, and some of you may have seen this card already. I posted it on my Facebook page this week, and it is my version of a punch art or die art Peppa Pig. Okay, so it doesn't really look all that much like the original, but with punches, it's probably as good as I could do. Mind you, I've mixed it up a little bit. So let me show you what Peppa's supposed to look like. Here she is, looking beautiful. She's got some lovely clouds, a blue and a green background behind her there. And she's standing in her red dress. So I think I've got the red dress is pretty close to colour. The pink is not quite off. It's a little bit off. Sorry. It's this is actually Blushing Bride, which is a light pink. The colour here of her nostrils is meant to be the darker pink, and that's colour called Flirty Flamingo. I've actually given her a red mouth, which is actually the same colour as the dress, but I've used different pieces to put it together. So let's just put it together. It's not hard. You just need a few different tools. So I've got here a card base, which is just a sheet of paper, a sheet of cardstock. Card that's been cut in half, and then I'll fold it in half again. I'm just using a bone folder to flatten the edge over. Okay, pop that to one side, and then I'm going to be working on this piece here. Now I'll give you the correct colours. These are Stampin' Up cardstocks. So this colour is called Balmy Blue, but any light blue card would work. And I've cut it so it fits just inside here. I'll put the measurements up on the screen for you so that if you need those measurements, if you aren't quite sure, you can follow those. Then I have this little piece which is cut to the same width as the blue, so it's going to be our grass, and this is about, if you're in working in metric, this is about 5.5 centimeters up, and that's roughly 2¼ inches. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to use some, this is called snail adhesive, and I'm just going to pop that on the back there and add that to the bottom of my blue piece. Okay, the adhesive that I'm using today, I'm using this one, the snail that I just mentioned. I'm also going to use two other things. I'm going to use some dimensionals. Now these are lovely little like foam dots, and they're double-sided, so they are great for popping things up a little higher. And then we also have what I call Tombow or multi-purpose adhesives. That is this stuff here. But you can use any liquid glue for this, so like a PVA or something like that. But the one I like to use is called Tombow, and it's available from Stampin' Up as well. Okay. All right, so in the background, I've already gone ahead and I've cut a couple of clouds. Now, we have a couple of different die sets that have clouds, so I'm just going to go ahead and stick those straight on. As you can see, there's not a lot of work to this. It's more about having the right shapes. Like I said, we've got a number of different die sets that will cut out cloud shapes. So this particular cloud is from a die set called Majestic Mountains, and it's got beautiful mountains and pine trees and clouds as well. Okay, so then my background is done. So you can use an oval and cut it in half. In this case, I've used, this is actually the beehive from the honeybee or detailed bee dies. And I'm actually going to it's going to end up down here, just like this. Okay, so the top of this is sort of just over the horizon there, you can see it. And then the main part of her head, I've used the stitch shaped. Now you could just use the normal layered circles, but I've used the stitch ones just for a bit of fun. That's going to go on the top. So let's take it off here for a second. So here, and then this one's going to go over the top. So you can see, and we can go ahead and join these as we go. You could use, like I said before, snail for that. Snail's quick and easy. That's why I usually like to use it for something like that, and it will hold enough for us to in fact, I'm just going to move that around, for us to keep it together while we're assembling this. And then I've got, this is the second largest circle die in the Stitch Shapes dies. And then I've also got some ovals from the same set. I've got the two smallest ovals, so let's go ahead and I'm going to, actually this time I might make her face the other way. So I'm going to put just a bit of adhesive here behind her head, and I'm going to have these ears, or the bottoms, the tops of the ovals, just popping out. That's going to hold that together enough. Okay, now the nose is kind of the interesting part, because if you look at Peppa doesn't actually have any distinction. Her head sort of turns into the nose, all one shape. Well, obviously we aren't doing that. We're adding a piece, so you will have the shape of the nose kind of looking a bit odd at this point. So I'm still going to go ahead and I'm going to go, and so we kind of want it to continue, but I want it to go up a little higher. So I'm going to put some snail on the back of that. And we want her nose kind of going in the air. See how it goes in the air? Sort of off at almost a 45-degree angle. So I could even go a little higher, which at the moment just looks weird and wrong. For the nostril and the end of the nose, I actually cut, the Stitch Shapes doesn't have a shape small enough, but if you use either a 1-inch punch or the smallest of the layered circles dies, that actually will be enough to pop that on the end there. So it kind of looks like the end of her nose. All right. Now, I haven't made the nostrils yet. The nostrils, the original Peppa nostrils are actually just circles. You could do circles. I didn't have any very small punches. I'm going to estimate I would need a 1/8 of an inch punch, which I don't currently have. And Stampin' Up doesn't sell any, but for the nostrils I decided to use this little guy. This is from the Trio Punch, but you could also use a crocodile, or if you have a 1/8 of an inch punch, you could use that as well. So I'm just going to do this in the darker pink. The darker pink is called, like I said, Flirty Flamingo. The crocodiles are an old tool that we had some years ago. I've never gotten rid of mine, but it does do quite good circles. So if I wanted round circles, I would do them just like that. And it will actually bring out a couple of small circles, but they are quite small. But you could do that. They would still work. In fact, they look rather good. I might stick with those. Pardon the pun. Okay, so to stick those, they're so tiny, you could use a little bit of your liquid glue. Because that's good for a tiny, tiny thing like that. And then the other one. Just like that. Okay. We can put them a little further apart if you think you'd like to put them a little further apart. And then we've also got the eyes. Now, the eyes, I think, are what make her look a little bit scary in my case. The eyes need to go kind of here. I'm sort of pretending that this line of my nose, the oval, doesn't actually exist, isn't actually there. And I've already gone ahead and crocodiled a couple of small circles. So this is what she would look like if she had round eyes. My original one had the oval eyes. I actually think that looks better. So that's, you can see, let me bring this in. So see how here her eyes are kind of almost dead center in the middle of the whites of her eyes there. Her pupils are right in the middle. So I'm actually going to go ahead with a little bit of Tombow, and I'm going to put that fairly close to the center, slightly in the front, because to me it looks like she's actually looking forward. So I guess the most important thing is, no matter where you decide to put her pupils, the most important thing is to put them so that they're both the same. You don't want them going in different directions, because if they go in different directions, she'll look quite manic. I mean, she does anyway, but it'll be worse. All right, let's try that. So kind of as you go, you can experiment with different shapes and see what's going to work. All right, how's that looking? I think that's not too bad. Now, there is meant to be a circle here. The only size circle I had was the 1/2 inch, which is the same size as the eyes, which is actually a bit small. If we had had a 3/4 of an inch circle, that would have been even better. So I'm just going to see how that looks. There we go. And then the mouth. For the mouth, I used a 1.5 inch punch, this one here. And what I did was I went in from the edge with the same, this is the same color, Poppy Parade, same color as this honeybee die that I've used for her dress. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go just over halfway in from the edge of the paper, and I'm going to discard that. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to cut it again. So see how now, if I cut it a second time, I now get this little shape here, and that's what we're going to use for her mouth. So I'm just going to add a little bit of snail to that, tiny bit, and we are going to add that there like that. So another crazy looking Peppa Pig. She really doesn't look that great, does she? But hey, a little girl would love this, or a person who loves Peppa Pig will love this. For the arms, okay, I've actually used a little branch die from the Flourish dies. We've got a number of different dies that have like a branch, like floral designs and things. They've got like a little branch with something on them, and they can be made into this shape. So I'm using my scissors, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to snip off the higher branches. If you have a little look at our original, you'll see it kind of just looks like someone kind of gave up when they got to the arms, really, and it's just like 3 little prongs. So we can do that with this die just by cutting off all the little circles. So I just snipped it. Actually, I just get rid of that one. But you kind of get to see now how Peppa's hands are kind of look like that little 3-pronged look now. I'll get rid of this one at the top. And I'm going to do that on the other side as well. I'll speed the camera up so that you don't have to watch me do that. I'm going to turn her over, and I'm just going to put a little bit of snail here and here, and we'll attach this one. As you can see on the original, her arms are just sticking straight out. Okay, so I'm just doing that as well. So just snipping away, and like I said, I'll speed that camera up. Okay, now you could give her legs if you wanted as well, so cut a couple more of them and just having the legs disappear down off the bottom of the pitch. But instead I decided I was going to cut this, cover that up with the happy birthday sentiment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually turn this over, and then I'm going to use my dimensionals to lift it up at the back, but I'm actually putting my dimensionals over the joins, which helps the whole thing become a lot more stable. So if I do that, it's not going to go anywhere. It won't come off easily. I love these little things. They're not expensive and they make your projects look so much better. I'm using a lot, I know. That's probably plenty. You could put more here if you wanted to. Totally up to you how many you use, but I just like to have it going over the joins to make the whole thing stable. So just pulling the backs off those, which of course now means that they're sticky. The main thing, of course, with this is just making sure that you have all the pieces ready to go, and then once you've cut them all, it actually doesn't take very long to assemble it. So I'm going to put this here. Oh, you can't even see that cloud. That's no good. We'll move the cloud. Where shall we put the cloud? Maybe we'll put the cloud here. I'm just having it go off the edge, so I'll get my scissors and just trim that off from behind. That way it's flush with the... I don't know which Peppa Pig looks worse. They're both pretty scary, but maybe this one with the dotted eyes is a little bit closer to the original, possibly. Okay, so like I said before, we need to stamp this here, and I'm using a stamp out of a set called Timeless Tulips. I'm going to use this Happy Birthday here, but any stamp that you have that would go well on this card. It would make a great little birthday card for someone who loves Peppa Pig. And I'm going to use my Memento black ink. I'll ink that up, and I'm going to use just some white paper, and I'm going to use my punch to cut that out. Just makes life easy rather than having to do that with scissors or muck around with rulers and things. I love matching punches. Punches make everything easier. There we go. And then that's going to cover that up down the bottom. And then to put the whole thing together, I use the liquid glue. Just run that gently a little bit around the inside, over the back. We've got our folded piece of card here. And I'll just pop that on the front, and then we're done. And there'll be some child out there who loves Peppa Pig who just thinks that that's the best thing ever. I hope you enjoyed that today. I have lots more cards here on my YouTube channel that will make people happy and make you happy when you make them, because it just feels great to make a card. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are. Bye bye.